Hello and thank you for contacting Wave Support. I see from your request that you're struggling with some comfort issues in this first-time gas perm wear. And as you know, in these post-refractive surgery cases, they're some of the hardest ones to fit, particularly because with our scout topography, we don't really get a whole lot of data captured out here in the peripheral cornea, so we're really reliant on this central part of the cornea. When you get out in the periphery, you pretty much have to rely on extrapolation and then, to be honest with you, from your own clinical judgment of the fit. So I find these are quite often very difficult to fit, and sometimes you really have to kind of think outside the box. In some cases, if I haven't been able to be successful with a large or a mini scleral lens, I find that just going with a large on-cornea fit up around almost the horizontal visible iris diameter is very effective. In this case, I'll just show you a couple ideas. So if we look at your right eye, your design actually looks pretty good based on a traditional mini scleral lens. You may recall that this right cornea is a little bit on the larger side, right around 12 millimeters or so. So I might be inclined to recommend to get those edges down so you don't have so much edge lift. A simple solution is just try to go bigger with it. Maybe just go up to like a 14.5. You'll notice I just kind of did a little quick mock-up of a lens here. And you'll see that keeping pretty much the same type of philosophy that you use. You'll notice that if you look at this, we'll look at the 9 o'clock meridian here just for comparison. You'll see in your design you're kind of a little flatter here in the central area, and then you start lifting up here at about 6 millimeters or so. You start lifting up towards the periphery. In the design over on the right-hand side, you'll see that we stay a little bit steeper centrally, and the lift starts a little bit further out. So I think with this design going a little bit larger will just create a little bit less edge lift for you, and that may help improve that comfort. Plus, if you get a little bit larger, you'll get away from that limbal area and hopefully get away from the sensitivity that you get in the limbus. So that's one kind of thought for the right eye. So if we look over here at the left eye for just a moment, I want to bring these designs up if I can do it. So just to highlight a couple of different options for you, this right lens over here is the one that you design. Actually, again, it looks very nice for a cornea, a traditional semiscleral design. But keep in mind, because we don't have a lot of peripheral data, you sometimes really can't go by these topography, representations just because it's not always accurate data. So again, you might have to rely on your own clinical judgment. But what I looked at this lens. I know you had some problems with the fluorescein pattern. So when we looked at, you click on the back surface view down in the lower left, you'll see we have a back surface that's kind of uneven, some ups and downs along there. So what I did is I took basically the same design philosophy here, but what I did differently, I added in a little bit of an aspheric component on the basic design. And what you'll notice when you do that, the back surface of the lens now starts to more closely match the surface of the cornea. And so when we do that, now if you look at that lens in the same meridians, you see that lens lies down much more nicely here. If we look at the 3 o'clock radial, comparing those, and move it over a bit for you. As well now as if you look at the back surface lens, if you click down on that lower left-hand picture and do the same thing in the newly designed one with the little aspheric design, you'll notice they have a much smoother back surface transition zone. So I think this may help get a lens that sits a little bit more nicely from a fluorescein standpoint. They may help that lens center better also. Once again, you could go a little larger if you'd like to. So there's a couple ideas. Now keep in mind, most of the time you're going to have to go back and do a little adjustment on your own manually based on your clinical impression. So don't get too caught up in the peripheral area based on these topographies. Another option I mentioned, like a really small diameter lens. I'm just going to see if we can bring it up here. I'm going to pause this while I bring that up. So here we are back again. And this time what I did is I kind of brought up a little design here where I went to about 11.5 millimeter, about the same size, the corneal diameter. I left an axial to be a little snugger. I did put a little aspheric design in it, which you end up with is a lens that looks like it's pretty closely aligned with that corneal surface. And the back surface, the lens looks in the lower left quadrant matches the topography very nicely. So once again, just like any of these post-refractive patients, the rules go out the window, as you know, but I have had some success. I know sometimes it's hard to get those landing areas to be comfortable on these mini sclerals or the scleral designs, and so sometimes just going back to traditional large diameter so that way it doesn't move very much, almost no movement at all on one of these 11 to 11.5 millimeter lenses. I've been very successful in a number of cases through the years doing that also. So I hope that provides you some insights and some possibilities for making some adjustments. I wish you well with these cases. These are very difficult. Don't get discouraged. And thank you for contacting Wave Support. Have a great day.